Hello all, Rick here and welcome to another index video on a species this time from the Mass Effect universe. The big stupid jellyfish that are none of those things themselves, the Hanar. Starting with their biology. The Hanar are one of the few species that stand against the convergent evolution of the vaguely humanoid form. They resemble pinkish, jelly-like, blobs with 6 trailing tentacles beneath them. At first appearance, they look like they stand on these, however they are actually being suspended in the air in an anti-grav Mass Effect field, and are merely using their limbs to guide themselves. This only applies on land, which is not their native environment, as within the water they are far more mobile. Their skin can produce a toxin, which can be used to deter others, although its effectiveness is limited. Hanar also have no gender and communicate with one another through the movement of their limbs combined with bioluminescence. This communication is often translated to an audible form for other species through machine translation, as it is incredibly difficult to understand for non-Hanar, although not impossible. Kahje, their home planet, is a water world with over 90% surface water, which has a permanent cloud cover, making for an incredibly humid atmosphere. What land masses there are therefore tiny island chains and scattered Prothean ruins, and even these are mostly underwater. These Prothean areas are heavily respected and are large repositories of ancient but advanced technology. Some locales, like Mount Vassla, are used as part of religious holidays. Other Hanar territories included the colonies of Undercurrent, Rough Tide, and First Land, although the latter is a gas giant, so the settlements here are all orbital stations. The Hanar follow a religion that reveres the Enkindlers. These Enkindlers are mythologically imbued interpretations of the Prothean people that came before the current civilization. It's only a matter of time when looking into the history of the Hanar before you'll come across the Prothean influence, which is about as pronounced as it gets. For reference, the Protheans were an interstellar empire that spanned several species, forcibly unified under a single culture. They vanished around 50,000 years ago, leaving behind many remnants of their civilization, upon which the current galactic civilization based their own tech. This has led many to study the Protheans, to be sure, but with the Hanar it literally goes much deeper because modern Hanar were uplifted by the Protheans. Basically, the Protheans would often experiment on younger species that were still developing by introducing them to things like language. For humans, this was mostly overwritten and ignored in their development, while the Asari took to their teachings, but the origins were shrouded in time. For the Hanar, however, they practically deified the Protheans, especially after their disappearance, and not only credited them with some cultural developments, but also with the very sentience of the Hanar, hence the name the Enkindlers, starting the fire or the spark of inspiration. As their ability to communicate, including any spoken language, is believed to have been taught to them by their gods, the Hanar place a great emphasis on that dialogue. They have a yearly festival called the First Cresting Bloom, which culminates in a celebration of language. Alongside carefully considering their words and constant politeness, they express apologetic attitudes towards any misinterpreted meanings and consider it the height of rudeness to refer to themselves in the first person. This leads them to use the terms this one as opposed to I or me when talking, although fortunately they do not expect the same of others. They will refer to themselves in first person only around those they consider family. Additionally, every Hanar has 2 names, their true name referred to as a soul name and a public name called their face name. The soul name is usually a long and descriptive term or phrase and known only to that Hanar, its close family, and those it feels deeply comfortable confiding in. These names often reflect their personality, which suggests that their soul name is gained at a later date, not a birth name. If a Hanar tells you its soul name, It is an expression of deep trust on the level of a familial bond. The face name is used for their everyday interactions with everyone else. This name is far shorter and simpler, usually only one word, and even these face names can be shortened to nicknames. One of the more notable parts of Hanar history occurred around 1980 Citadel era, when they came across the planet Rakana and its native populace of Drell. The Drell had ruined their already arid world with excessive industrialisation and were in danger of dying out with their planet. The Hanar took pity on the Drell, and seeing it as a moral imperative, they began a large-scale evacuation of the Drell population. 375,000 escaped with the Hanar and entered into a pact to repay them. Called the Compact, the agreement saw the Drell assist in the tasks that the Hanar could not perform. The Drell may have voluntarily entered into this agreement, but it nonetheless had some bad consequences. Firstly, the Drell have developed a condition called Keprol's syndrome due to the ill-fitting humid atmosphere of Kahje that fatally ruins the Drell's respiratory system. There are settlements on the planet that can mitigate the effects of the illness, but all Drell cities are left to decline with criminal elements abundant. The other side is, of course, this pseudo-class system that's eventually emerged. The thing is, the Drell themselves often see the Compact as a debt of gratitude rather than any forced servitude. But from the outside perspective, well, the Drell definitely do have the shorter end of the bargain. Drell can refuse to honour the Compact, although doing so is seen as an ignoble act among their own, so the societal pressure is to adhere to it. The Hanar government is called the Illuminated Primacy, and the leader of their religious section is called the Allbright. These titles are all based around themes of light, which for the Hanar is their natural form of communication, and it all ties back to their perceived gift of language. On the galactic scene, the Hanar stand further apart than the other species. They maintain an embassy on the Citadel, although they are not a council race, and this is partly because of their physiology being non-humanoid. Most of the galaxy's technology is reverse engineered or simply copied from Prothean schematics, among other precursors, which are ultimately select breadcrumbs left by the Reapers. Because of this, most of the standardised tech is based on the humanoid form and ill-suited for the Hanar. Inversely, many of the products that they create are therefore only suited for the Hanar, so the outside species have little use for them. It's not like there's no trade whatsoever, it's just that there is less when compared to the other embassy species. In terms of combat, the Hanar generally do not engage. They usually use their Drell assistants and agents when it comes to military matters. Among the Hanar, issues are sometimes settled in duels of dialogue rather than fisticuffs. Because of their lack of military prowess and the limited number of Drell under their command, the Hanar prefer to deploy specialised strike squads, assassins and infiltrators to make targeted strikes rather than engage in a prolonged military campaign. This means that most of their actual military is reserved for system defence, and it's not that expansive. It is heavily supplemented by an automated defence system. The Hanar belief of the Enkindlers sometimes presents issues for the rest of the galactic community, as they can protest the unearthing of Prothean dig sites, considering it a desecration. Some more extreme examples of their faith also have the Hanar believing that they are the Enkindlers' chosen species, and therefore all others are inferior. So, the Hanar are known as being very polite, sometimes egregiously so, and for the most part they seek a harmonious existence among their own and others. So, look at that, I made it through the entire Hanar video without mentioning Blasto the Spectre. Well, now I guess I have to, so let's just clarify who Blasto is. He's a fictional Hanar Spectre and movie character from a best-selling series in universe. Most of the allure probably comes from the juxtaposition of having a Hanar, a stereotypically peaceful, non-combative and polite species, dual-wielding heavy pistols and throwing one-liners. Considering the need for communication among any society, it is not surprising that the Hanar have placed such an emphasis on the importance of language, for without a means of communication, how would you hope to grow your culture? Thanks for watching this video on the Hanar. I've already done one on the Drell, who share their homeworld, so that's a look at another side of their culture. Now for the votes on the next Index video, and I thought we could look at either the Protheans from Star Trek, or at least as far as we know on them, or, because it's been a while since I've featured any Fallout universe lore on this channel, the Commonwealth Institute for another scientifically orientated group. Votes are over on the Community tab, and feel free to suggest others to add to the bucket list. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you for another science fiction video. This one has been Rick. Goodbye.